Do you ever feel like you're a fake Christian and just feel condemned because you still have desires to commit certain sinful actions and you just feel spiritually drained and you feel abnormal and you want to quit following God? It's because you have a wrong perception of what true sin is. So you have been trained to think that sin is just about actions and that you're saved by grace alone, but if you sin however you want, then you won't be saved anymore. But at the same time, you still call yourself a sinner. So it doesn't make sense. You're a sinner by identity, but you're saying you can't sin however you want. And then you'll hear stuff, well, I'm a repentant sinner. So the point here is, which one is it? It's a little bit confusing, right? So the reason it's so hard for you to break away from certain patterns is because you're identifying with a sinful nature and then saying things like, I need to stop lusting, I need to stop getting angry, I need to follow God better, I need to read my Bible better. But the problem with that is you're a sinner. And a sinner is the epitome of evil, none righteous, no not one, only capable of failing God and falling short of his glory. So you're trying to change yourself to align with God from a nature that'll never be able to align with God. So when you see sin as just actions, it subconsciously creates something in your mind where you put levels to sin. So you start comparing yourself to others. I didn't do that. I'm not that bad. So I'm good enough for God. But the problem with this is God sees sin as sin. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit or a lot. A little bit of leaving the whole lump. Shout out my pastor also. A little bit of poop in water, even if it's just a drop, ruins the whole cup. It doesn't matter how much you clean the water and try to clean it and justify that it's good enough and not as bad as a full cup of poop water. It still has poop in it. It's clear in Romans 5:12 that sin is an identity. Through one man, sin entered the world, and death upon to all men. So if salvation were about sinning less and trying harder, then someone should be able to give me the number of when I crossed the line, when I became too much of a sinner, where I fell from grace. You can't, because it's nowhere in the Bible. The problem is not the quantity of sins you commit. The problem is the source, the identity. So we have to receive a new source and a new identity. Problem is not that believers love sin. The problem is that believers love trusting themselves. So to stop trusting ourselves, we have to see that we're untrustworthy people. We have to accept, I can't stop sinning. I can't stop lusting. I can't stop any of this stuff. All I do is lead myself to destruction. That's why I need God. That's why I need Jesus. That's why I need grace. Now we can receive hearts that lean in on God. Apart from him, we can do nothing. And now we forsake our old nature and the untrustworthy person that led us to know life and trust the new righteous and perfected person that was given to us through Christ. Doesn't matter how hard you try to stop sinning. If you're still following yourself, you're always going to struggle with committing sinful actions. Grace is not abused by sinful actions. It's ignored by self-trust. So you focusing on not abusing grace is actually the very thing that's not allowing you to experience freedom and experiencing God's grace. Freedom does not come from sinning less. It comes from trusting who God already says you are. God knows everything flows from the identity and everything flows from who you trust. So if you trust him and what he has made you, righteous, perfect, sanctified, sealed, holy, once and for all, then he knows the byproduct of that is going to be a change in your outward actions.